Docker is a very popular software which allows us to download something called images and create something called containers. The idea of containers has been around for a long time. However, they were not easily available until Docker container technology was launched in 2013. How popular is Docker now? This graph shows how many pulls there were from the Docker Hub over a period of time from its launch in 2013. You can see that over the first year it didn't do very much, but then the uptake has been absolutely phenomenal with 2 billion pulls by 2016. I think it's now past 5 billion pulls or even more. And all of this is from the Docker Hub, which is the public repo for Docker. People will be using their own private hubs. The whole thing is just massive. Now, that's all fine. It's massive. It's really useful, as we're going to see. But what exactly is an image and what is a container? You can think of an image as a snapshot of a virtual machine that you want to use. To get the image onto your local machine, you use the docker pull command. And you did that already at the end of our previous session, where you did something like sudo docker pull Niels Borre ml docker. You pulled a particular image. But the image is only a snapshot. It's not a working virtual machine. What we want is memory and computing resources of your own local machine, or in our particular case, the Google Cloud virtual machine, to be set aside and the image to be brought to life in a particular area of your machine. Now, when that happens and you have the image as a live machine with memory resources and CPU, then the image is called a container. We're going to see that that's pretty easy to turn the image into a container. But before we do that, let's just have a look at the Niels Borre image that you pulled. I'm going to go to GitHub, https github.com Niels Borre, Niels Borre ML Docker. So here you can see this is the page that he set up for his image. You can see it's got loads and loads of stuff in it. Of course, it's got Python on an Ubuntu machine. It's got Jupyter notebooks, but it's also got scikit-learn. It's got XGBoost, LightGBM. LightGBM is a pain to install on some machines. So is CatBoost, which he's got there for you. H2O is the thing that took some students ages to install, or they didn't manage at all in previous years. And if you actually look in some of the detail, he's got something called Vaupal Wabbit, which I don't know that we'll get to use, but again, that would take a really long time to set up, and he's done that all for us in his image. If you actually look at the Docker file, you can see, I'm not going to go into it, but you can see how he created this. It is interesting that he's used an official Jupyter TensorFlow notebook, and then he's built on that, adding various things like GBM, XGBoost, CatBoost, and Vaupal Wabbit, as well as various other things. So this is all pretty useful stuff. If you want to find out a bit more about Docker, the slides are on Moodle. On the last page of the slides, there are just one or two links which you might find useful. Just by the way, in this course, you have already used Docker container technology, and you've used a container. Can you guess where you did that? Have a think. Well, there's not much that you've done so far in this course, but you were on Kaggle. When you were on Kaggle, you opened a notebook, and you might remember it took a little while, to open that notebook. It was provisioning a virtual machine, and on that virtual machine, it opened the Kaggle image. Now, as it happens, you can get hold of that Kaggle image yourself. You can download it, and you could probably use it on our virtual machine. That image is really massive, so I'm not quite sure how much of your disk it would take up. It's a massive image, and the other thing is, I don't think it quite has everything that we are going to use. Anyway, that's a brief introduction to Docker. We're now going to move on and just get a container going on your virtual machine.